When I came to look for another car, I used a list I had compiled years ago. It needed to be a runner. It needed a little bit of tender loving care. There was going to be no show cars for me. I wanted an original chrome bumper car, 5 bearing, overdrive, either navy blue or red, and it had to be a basic car. I would have liked electronic ignition, I would have liked K&N filters and a straight through exhaust pipe. What I didn't want was a boot rack, wing mirrors on the wings or the doors, a roll bar, lots of additional switches or gauges. I didn't want walnut dash or walnut trim. I didn't want seal covers. I didn't want any wooden steering wheels or aftermarket steering wheels. I didn't want any what I would call poshed carpets or trim inside the cockpit. So it became obvious that I was going to have to compromise, because the chances of finding a car that ticked all those boxes was very slim. So what compromises did I make? Well, this car didn't have electronic ignition. It had the old-fashioned 25D points and condenser. I replaced that with an electronic ignition. This car had one wing mirror on this door, and I took it off and I've covered up the holes, and those holes will be repainted at a later date. Inside the cockpit it was fairly basic, so I've left it fairly basic. And I've removed the centre console trim. I like to see the carpet. I don't know why they put that centre console in there. I've always found them to be totally useless. So I've removed it so you can see the carpet. So the car came with its original Calhorn air filters. It didn't have K&N air filters, which I would have preferred, but I fitted the K&Ns since then. The engine's got the chrome rocker cover and some chrome oil pipes. It came with those, so there's no point taking those off to put basic ones on, so I've just left those. But apart from that, it's just as it would have been from the factory. It's got wire wheels on it. I'm flexible about wheels, so I wasn't worried about them. I can live with any old wheels. Oh, it did have an exhaust centre box, and I wanted a straight through exhaust pipe, so that was something that I would have been planning to do. On a practical consideration, which I've covered elsewhere, the fuel pump on this car was still underneath, and I like the fuel pumps in the boot. So I didn't get everything that I wanted, but I wasn't expecting to. I came reasonably close. So I looked around. I used sources like Auto Trader, MGOC, eBay. This one I did just out of the blue look on Gumtree. I wasn't actually looking for one of these. I was looking for something else on Gumtree. There was just something about it. It just looked as if it hadn't been messed with. It hadn't been fiddled with. It was just a good old basic car with no frills. And that's what I was looking for. So I was looking around the latter end of 23 to the early part of 24. And this is how I felt at the time. Price and condition went up to £4,000 a restoration project. £5,000 to £10,000. Lots of cars in there that need a lot of work to the mechanics and the bodywork. There may be the odd gem in there, but you're going to have to work very hard to find it. 11 to 15, it's getting better. 1 or 2 nice cars in there if you look around. Anything over 15,000, 20,000, 25, 30. You want a completely restored mint condition car. So I still look at the adverts in eBay, and I still look at the adverts on the MG forums, on the websites and things. And occasionally I do see a car and I look at the car and I think, oh, if only that had been around when I was looking, I might have had that one. Okay. Some people like a car they can get stuck into with spanners and toolbox, which is fine. Some people can't do that. They don't have the necessary skills. So there's all different things for all different people. So just to be absolutely sure now, having reacquired one of these, I've got this to use it. It's not going to sit in this garage. It's not going to sit on the driveway to impress the neighbours. I intend to use this. And I don't mind if I get caught out in the odd shower of rain. That's just the way it is. You know, I'm not going to be fretting about water, chips, scratches. You know, if one of my children drops their coffee on the seats, it's going to be used. So that's what I want to do with this car, use it. If you've got one of these things in your garage now and it's just there as a showpiece, I think you're wasting your time, because you know, you've got to get out and use these things while you've got the chance. So drive.